Do squatters have more rights than property owners in South Africa? The question of whether squatters have more rights than property owners in South Africa is complex and controversial. In reality, the South African legal framework seeks to balance the constitutional right to housing with the right to property ownership. We explore the legal position, recent case law, and practical implications for property owners facing unlawful occupation. Understanding the legal framework: property rights versus housing rights. South Africa's constitution protects property rights under Section 25 and simultaneously enshrines the right to access adequate housing under Section 26. This dual protection often leads to perceived conflicts when illegal occupiers, commonly referred to as squatters, resist eviction. Section 25 states that no one may be deprived of property except in terms of a law of general application. Section 26.3 states that no one may be evicted from their home without a court order made after considering all relevant circumstances. The tension between these two rights requires judicial balancing, especially in eviction matters. The role of the Prevention of Illegal Eviction from and Unlawful Occupation of Land Act, or PIE Act, is central to eviction proceedings. It protects unlawful occupiers by ensuring that evictions are conducted fairly and justly. Key aspects include the court order requirement, which states that evictions without a court order are illegal, and humanitarian considerations, where courts must consider the rights of vulnerable groups such as children, the elderly, and disabled persons. Reasonable notice is also required, as occupiers must be given at least 14 days' notice of the eviction hearing. In some cases, municipalities must provide alternative accommodation for evicted persons. It is important to note that the PIE Act does not grant ownership rights to squatters. It only regulates the procedure of eviction to prevent inhumane displacement. Common misconceptions about squatters' rights persist. Despite popular belief, squatters do not automatically gain ownership of the property they occupy unlawfully. However, under specific conditions, rights may evolve. The Prescription Act allows a person to acquire ownership through acquisitive prescription if they occupy land openly, continuously, and without consent for 30 uninterrupted years. The Mandament van Spolie protects unlawful possessors from being removed without due legal process. Thus, unlawful occupiers cannot simply claim ownership or resist a lawful eviction without valid legal grounds. The eviction process involves several steps for property owners to regain possession legally. First, issue a notice to vacate, serving a written notice demanding that occupiers vacate within a reasonable time. If occupiers fail to leave, approach the court and apply for an eviction order under the PIE Act. Next, serve a notice of motion, where the sheriff must serve the eviction application and hearing date on all occupiers and the local municipality. During the court hearing, the court evaluates factors like the duration of occupation, availability of alternative housing, and the vulnerability of occupiers. If justified, the court grants an eviction order and sets a date by which the occupiers must vacate. Finally, the enforcement of the eviction order is carried out by the sheriff, accompanied by police if necessary, to execute the eviction order.